Chosen one, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now, as you stand in this season of uncertainty with questions pressing like thunderclouds in your chest, you need to know there have been 9 times, 9 distinct moments, when God Himself spoke through the weather to those set apart, those marked, those running after His heart. You feel the pressure, the rumble in the spiritual atmosphere, and you sense you're not alone in it. The signs may look ordinary to everyone else, a downpour, a drought, a lightning flash, and yet for the chosen they thunder with meaning. Let me take you into these moments not as distant stories, but as patterns repeating now, as living echoes unfolding in your own life right now. First, there is the time God sent a flood, not just rain that soaks the ground, but rain that rises, water that swallows old structures, the flood that wipes away everything familiar. Remember Noah, how the skies broke open day after day, not just to bring confusion, but to clear a path for something brand new. Right now you may feel overwhelmed. The things you built, your routines, your security, they're being washed away, swept aside by forces you can't control. Every attempt to bail it out feels pointless. Every call to an expert is met with silence or a helpless shake of the head. This isn't punishment. This is preparation. God is speaking through the flood, stripping away what can't survive the next season. In the flood, as the waters rise higher than your strength, His ark is being revealed, a hidden place where you're safe from what's drowning everyone else. Let the old wash away. The flood is not to destroy you, but to deliver you. A new thing is surfacing, and you will be the first to see dry land when others are still gasping for air. Second, there's the scorching drought. When no rain falls, when the land where you expected harvest sits cracked and bare, when every sign says, "Give up," nothing good can come from this. Elijah felt this drought. 3 years of sky like iron, heat pressing down until prayers felt pointless. Right now, maybe you look at your finances, at your health, at your hope, and see only dust. You reminisce about better years, the good season when things moved, connections flowed, money came in, every prayer brought a bud or blossom. But now, silence, barrenness, a job that won't call you back, a bill unpaid week after week, a test result with no answer, doors closed tight. And every strategy, networking, hustling, praying the same prayers, seems to blow away like sand in the wind. In the drought, God's voice gets louder, not softer. He calls you to the brook, the secret place where ravens feed you in ways that don't make sense. He's training you to rely not on open doors, but on His voice. Watch. When you least expect it, a cloud the size of a man's hand is going to rise, and everything will shift overnight. The drought is not the end of your story. It is the stage for God's sudden supernatural provision. Third, consider the storm. Not just weather, but violent, world-shaking upheaval. Wind that tears roofs away, lightning that splits trees, thunder that shakes the bones. Disciples in a boat, terrified by waves swallowing the bow, wind shrieking through every crack, convinced they're about to die. And you right now caught in spiritual storms that threaten everything you care about. A sudden diagnosis from the doctor, a trusted friend turning away. Unexpected accusations ruining your name. Chaos that invades your peaceful home. You have prayed. You have fasted. You have declared every promise you know. Still, the wind rages. The pills don't help. The scrolling keeps you awake. The prayer feels hollow. But it is in the heart of the storm that God's voice cuts through. Peace. Be still. Not just to the weather, but to your soul. Out of the roar and chaos comes a sudden calm, and you realize He was with you all along, standing while you trembled. The storm that nearly destroyed you becomes the testimony that can never be shaken. Fourth, God speaks through gentle dew, the soft mist that covers the ground at morning. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but tender and persistent. After dry nights, the dew signals favor, a fresh start, answers that arrive while you're not looking. You wake up and suddenly the paperwork is approved, the phone rings with an unexpected yes. The pain eases overnight, laughter returns to your table. You don't sweat for this. You couldn't have controlled it. Let me tell you, chosen one, favor is falling right now even if you can't see it. Quiet provision is soaking places you thought were dried up forever. You thought you would have to hustle and plead, but what's coming for you is gentle, fresh, silent, lasting. The dew settles where hard rain can't, and you awake to a ground transformed. Let me take you into the fifth time, a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. Guidance when there is no map, direction when it's all wilderness and wild territory. The chosen ones, wandering, lost, no GPS to show which way leads to promise and which way to disaster. But above, a visible sign, changing as the day changes, leading in every unknown. Maybe you're at a crossroads now. Should you stay or move, wait or act, trust or walk away? Every logical plan says one thing, but a fresh nudge, a cloud in the sky, a prompting in your gut, an odd coincidence, a closed door that refuses to open. The pillar is moving even when you don't understand. God leads through signals that others call random, but you know it's Him. Sometimes He closes every exit but the right one. Sometimes He opens an impossible path through a bureaucracy, a courtroom, a relationship fracture. Let the pillar decide the pace. Let Him decide the timing. You will not be lost in this wilderness. Now listen to this, the sixth time. Hail falling on Egypt but not Goshen. Judgment and protection at the same time. When the world is battered, when the headlines shout disaster, you look around and your home, your children, your possessions are untouched. Other people's relationships are melting down, but peace reigns in your house. Others experience layoffs, but your job is spared, or a new opportunity rises when doors close. You feel guilty sometimes for your preservation, but let me explain. This is not by your might, but by God's mark on you. Judgment falls, but mercy holds you. Plagues may rage, storms may howl, but you find yourself shielded, not by luck, but by decree. God is separating you now, showing who belongs to Him. When the waves of bad news come, you will see the difference. The storm may rage, but it cannot cross your boundary. Seventh is the time the sun stood still. Day extended for victory. Joshua didn't need more soldiers, he needed more daylight. Sometimes your breakthrough can't come because the clock runs out. You're up against impossible timelines, deadlines looming, threats that make it seem like there's no way you'll make it. But right now, God is stretching time for you. The callback happens just in time. The payment arrives in the last hour. They said the window was closed, but God kept it open an hour longer. For you. You pass the test you thought you'd failed. You catch the flight they swore you'd miss. You sign the contract in the 11th hour. Watch as He rewrites schedules, moves appointments, delays storms, gives you daylight long enough to win the battle you could never win by natural strength. The sun will stand still for the chosen just long enough for victory. Eighth, God's voice in a whirlwind. Job's moment when every friend, every advisor had failed, when explanation made less sense than the pain itself. You see disaster, confusion, losses, one after another, and no matter how you try to reckon it, prayer, fasting, friendly counsel, answers don't come. Instead, the whirlwind. You want neat answers, but God comes in raw, commanding wind, breaking pride, breaking self. In those nights when you snap awake at 3 a.m., panic in your chest, sweat on your forehead, replaying conversations, bills, betrayals. You try to pray or take a pill, scroll endlessly to distract yourself, but the weight in your chest will not lift. You lie there bargaining, pleading, tracing every old wound and mistake, and mourning only brings exhaustion, not relief. But in the whirlwind, God Himself speaks, not with answers but with presence. You are not abandoned. You are not lost in the chaos. You are seeing what most never will, that the whirlwind is his chariot, and even in the storm you are face to face with the one who governs it all. Finally, ninth, the sound of rushing wind at Pentecost. When it's quiet, then suddenly in an upper room a roar. Sudden, unmistakable, not manufactured, not manipulated. You feel stuck. You feel overlooked. You feel like nothing is shifting. Then, without warning, the wind rushes in. Opportunity, anointing, courage, vision, what you couldn't muster on your own, what no one could teach you. Doors fly open, tongues loosen, gifts come alive. What took years to build is birthed in a moment. Let me tell you right now, God is about to send the wind. You have waited. You have prayed. You have wondered if the promise would ever come. Suddenly, overnight, the wind of God will blow, and you will be endued with power for your assignment. Chosen one, hear this decree. They wanted to drown you in the flood, but you rose up in the ark. They tried to starve you in the drought, but ravens fed you. They whipped up storms, but you found peace in the chaos. They snuffed out your hope, but dew fell on your ground. They left you wandering, but the pillar guided every step. They watched plagues destroy, but could not touch you. They rushed the clock, but the sun stood still for your victory. They brought the whirlwind, but you met God face to face in it. They declared it was over, but the wind blew and you stood in power. All 9 signs are active, every weather speaking suddenly, overnight, right now. Let me take you deeper into what it means when God weaves your story from one reversal to the next. How your very history is marked by these storm turns and supernatural changes that the world cannot account for. Right now, as you hear me, you may not even recognize how far you've come, how many attempts there have been to shut you out, to bury your calling under layers of mud and accusation. But I can see the pattern. God doesn't just let what was meant for harm roll away quietly. He makes it the foundation for your rising. Behind every closed door, every midnight hour when no one saw you pacing rooms counting up your failures, right there is where the reversal starts. He lets them see you at your lowest so they cannot misplace the glory when you rise. You've been the one with no options, boxed in by circumstances, wandering without a map. Yet even in the tightest places, in the weather that should have broken you, there is always a shift, a crack in the clouds, a whisper in the darkness, a moment where what was against you is suddenly flipped for your favor. Let me show you exactly how this works. Picture them, those who expected you to crumble, gathering at the edge of the flood, watching for your ark to split. They whispered. They doubted your faith, your sanity, your resilience. They expected your resources to run out, for you to lose everything. You know the ones, the silent critics, the absent friends, even family who kept a distance so they wouldn't catch your bad luck. But the floodwaters became your platform. What took others under raised you high. People started asking questions. How did you survive? How did you manage when everyone else went under? You've become the sign, the question, the proof that something greater is at work. They watched drought strip your fields, assumed that would be the end of your provision, but provision came in forms you didn't expect. Anonymous gifts in your mailbox, a stranger paying for your groceries, a refund from years ago landing in your account when you needed it most. You thought you'd come to the end, but God's supply showed up in ways that cannot be explained, cannot be counterfeited. You have been the one pulled into storm after storm, battered by winds you didn't ask for, betrayed by ones you trusted, accused when all you did was serve faithfully, overlooked at work for people less qualified, underestimated in your gift because it didn't fit a mold. Every time you tried to get your footing, another wave crashed over you. But let me tell you, there is a turnaround happening now. What was meant to be the ending becomes day one of visibility. Those very storms clarified your assignment. In the chaos, they saw you stand. While others screamed and ran, you stayed. When it gets quiet and the water stills, you are the only one left on the bow. People will not just hear about your survival, they will come to you for guidance in their own hurricanes because you stood. You endured, you did not self-destruct when most would have. Your scars are becoming signs. And let's talk about the do, gentle, faithful, persistent. You thought you'd always have to beg for breakthrough to be the last picked, the afterthought. But right now, word is traveling about your character, your consistency. Opportunities start finding you that you did not even know existed. The favor that was subtle becomes undeniable. Sudden promotions, invitations from those who ignored you, ideas taking root when all you did was simply remain steady. People start calling you blessed, not even understanding that it's not because you manipulated or maneuvered for position, but because grace fell on you quietly. Favor that cannot be explained, only witnessed. Even your enemies watch in confusion as doors open that should have been sealed tight, as your reputation is restored without your striving. You know what it is to wander the wilderness, unsure if you're going forward or backward, but now the pillar is on the move, showing you steps no one else has seen. There's a guidance now, a conviction, a knowing that even if it seems risky, you will not be lost. You leave behind old alliances, step out of comfort zones, walk away from toxic patterns, and as you do, it becomes obvious to everyone around you that you are not wandering aimlessly. You are being led. That supernatural confidence scares those who rooted for your confusion, but it draws the hungry, the desperate, those whose hearts long for something more than mediocrity. You have become the one to point the way. By your movement, others find their direction. Let me break this down for you. The hail that fell on Egypt has been raging all around, but now you notice what it's like to be protected on every side while others struggle. Colleagues worry about layoffs. Your business not only survives, it increases. Schools close, but your children flourish. Investments tank all around, yet your storehouse expands. You cannot take credit for this, but you cannot deny it either. God has drawn a line around your house, your family, your endeavors, and even your critics have to admit there is a difference. While others are forced to shrink their dreams, you are called to expand yours. What they called luck, what they called coincidence, stands as a mark of the one who fights for you. You lived under deadline pressure, always running out of time, feeling like every clock tick was a hammer counting down to disappointment. But the sun is standing still for you. That's why doors that close on others swing back open for you. That's why what was impossible on a Friday night is done by Monday morning. The rules bend for you, the timeline is extended until your victory prevails, and all who doubted have to watch you win before the light fades. You will get the call when it's technically too late. You will finish what others said could never be done in time. You will win, not because you hounded or hustled your way through, but because heaven paused the hourglass for your breakthrough. You walked through the whirlwind. Just surviving those nights should have broken you. Those 3 a.m. panic surges where your chest locks tight and your mind won't let up. Let me take you right into that room. Lights out except for the glow of your screen as you try to distract yourself from the racing doom scripts in your head. Every breath feels short. Every thought circles around what else could go wrong. What if the money runs out? What if they never call back? What if your body doesn't heal? What if everyone finds out the truth? You try every solution, Google your symptoms, scroll through every post, pray until the words run dry. Swallow something to help you sleep, but it's useless. Nothing brings the relief you crave. The silence is suffocating and you are certain you will not make it to morning, but you do. Every time you do. You wake shaken but upright. And the wild thing is, as time goes by, those worst nights become your testimony. God didn't stop the storm, but He stood with you inside it. That changes everything. Your fear does not have the last word. Presence tramples panic. Even now, when turbulence comes, you feel that hand on your shoulder, the weight of glory greater than the heaviest anxiety. You become a shelter for others, because you know what survival in the whirlwind makes possible. Then the wind, the Pentecost moment. You remember what it feels like to be left out, overlooked, passed over for promotions and assignments, your name never making the short list. But suddenly, without warning, God sends the wind. You sense it, a quickening, an energy, the birthing of something new. Your weaknesses become the place His power rests. Your quiet years become the reservoir for sudden courage. You are called out, chosen for what others laughed off. Suddenly, the people who ignored your calls are now dialing your number. Opportunities blow straight to your door, ideas explode into reality, burdens fall to the floor. It isn't hustle, it's divine wind. The outpouring is not just for your elevation, it is God's way of launching new beginnings for those attached to you, setting destinies in motion that had sat dormant for years. Now listen to me, chosen one, you are no longer the victim. You are the sign, no longer the outcast, weary, hiding, wishing for smaller storms. You are now the voice over the wind. Not just vindicated, but commissioned. God is not restoring you to your old life, He is thrusting you into a new one. You are sent to help others find the ark, to command peace over shaky boats, to lead through wilderness with confidence, to stand in the midst of plagues as proof of protection, to call forth the sun and say, "Don't you set until my breakthrough comes." You are the one carrying the wind, releasing hope into households that have lost it. You carry reversal on your life. When you enter, defeat shifts to victory, delay turns to acceleration, confusion becomes clarity. Let this commission settle in your bones. Every trial you faced, every reversal they hope would swallow you, every time you thought the night would never end, now becomes the oil in your lamp, the authority in your words, the open door for multitudes. You are not just rising, you are pulling others from the fire as you climb. You hold the map, the testimony, the weathered voice that commands storms and welcomes favor. No more hiding in shame, no more waiting for validation. You walk as the evidence of every promise, real, raw, and unstoppable. So I decree over you now, they denied your entry, but God established a gate through your wounds. They buried you in storms, but your roots broke the ground. They silenced your prayers, but the wind spoke your answer. They tracked your losses, but heaven multiplied your harvest. They celebrated your drought, but your river overflowed overnight. They named the hail for your destruction, but Goshen marked you for preservation. They hurried the sunset to end your hope, but the sun stalled for your song. They summoned whirlwinds to tear you down, but you found God's voice inside the gale. They left you powerless and empty, but the wind of God clothed you with fire and with commission. You are not what they called you. You are not their forecast. All 9 times God has spoken, each one reversing the curse, sealing your vindication, launching your commissioning. Suddenly, overnight now, the weather speaks your rising. Let me show you something nobody else sees unless they've walked through the weather and survived it. Vindication is not a rumor, it's not a theory, it's a living reality that settles around you like lightning after the storm. It's not about having the last word or proving them wrong with clever comebacks. It's about God making the stage so public, so undeniable that those who wrote you off have to rewrite their stories just to account for the evidence of you standing stronger than before. Vindication arrives in strange ways. A phone call from someone who betrayed you, now asking for your help. A company that shut you out, suddenly inviting you back as if the door was never locked. A gathering where the same voices that doubted you now speak your name with respect. You don't have to campaign, you don't have to shout. Your life becomes the answer they tried to talk around. Every delay that made you feel like God forgot you was really buying you time for a victory no one could take credit for but Him. Right now, as you hear these words, old pains begin to lose their sting. The same places you once avoided. Family dinners filled with whispers, meetings where your name was a punchline, late nights scrolling through proof of your own exclusion, those very tables are turning. The story shifts. You become the center, not because you clawed your way there, but because heaven rotated the spotlight in your direction. The job that let you go is shrinking now while you expand. The group that voted you out is now split, while you've been gathering new allies, new resources, new confidence. That reputation they tried to steal. God has built you a new one, brick by brick, each layer cemented by storms you passed through and the grace you refuse to let go of. Vindication is messy. Sometimes it looks like apologies. Other times it's just undeniable progress you don't have to explain. But every single time it is mercy holding your head high when they wanted it bowed. It's walks to the mailbox with bills you can finally pay. It's text messages of congratulations instead of gossip. It's doctors shaking their heads because the symptoms are gone and nobody knows where they went. It's friends returning with new humility, admitting they should have never doubted. Let me break this down for you. Vindication is not the end of the story, it is the qualifying moment for the next stage. They watched you under pressure, and now they have to watch you in purpose. They saw you weep, but now they see you work. All those years you thought were wasted, time spent in hidden places doing right when nobody watched, serving with zero applause. They are the gems God is setting into the crown you wear now. There's no bitterness left, only a quiet fire, a resolve that keeps you moving forward. You are not fighting for acceptance. You walk in a favor that moves for you. The same weather patterns that once brought dread now make you expectant because you know what follows the flood is dry land. What follows the drought is sudden rain. What follows the storm is a calm so rich, you'll never mistake God's presence again. But listen to me, chosen one. Vindication is not where your story ends. You are not just a trophy in God's showcase, you are commissioned. This is where history shifts overnight and you are thrust from survival into assignment. Your whole life has been an education in pain, patience, perseverance, and trust. Now it's graduation day. The very wisdom forged in trials becomes the bread you offer to those starving for hope. You don't just talk about mercy, you carry it. You don't just echo peace, you establish it. Let me tell you what's different now. You feel the mantle on your shoulders, a weight that's not heavy with burden but rich with purpose. You have authority now. You wake up with instructions on your heart, people to call, risks to take, prayers to pray, kindness to scatter like seed. And every time you listen, something happens that cannot be explained by calculation or coincidence. You sow encouragement by faith, and suddenly doors swing open where walls once stood. You bless those who cursed you, and suddenly their setup for your downfall becomes a table where you serve them. You lay hands on the sick, and sometimes you see healing. Sometimes you just see hope flare in their eyes for the first time in years. But you walk with a knowing. The weather speaks for you now. Your yes changes atmospheres. Your no closes hell's assignments. Let me paint the picture of what this commission looks like in day after day living. It's praying over a pile of overdue invoices on your kitchen table and watching over the next week's unexpected payments arriving. Checks you didn't know were coming. Calls from people saying, "Well, we want to give you another chance." It's standing by the hospital bed of someone who lost hope and simply holding their hand, breathing peace over them when their own strength is gone. It's taking a risk with a new project, a new business, a new ministry, when every voice in your head tells you it's foolish. And yet, resources show up. Partners, helpers, mentors, favor from unexpected quarters, spaces where your name is spoken in honor, not as a warning. Every day you act in obedience, sometimes trembling, and every day God meets you in it, adds more than you gave, covers gaps you couldn't fill. multiplies not only your provisions but also your reach. Commission means God trusts you with the broken, the skeptical, the angry, the disillusioned, the ones who come to you bracing for disappointment because life has only ever taught them to expect it. Your very scars become credentials. They sense you've been through the weather. You know how to listen without rushing, how to bandage wounds without judgment, how to feed souls without demanding applause. You become a safe house, a resting place. People ask, how did you endure? What kept you from breaking? And you point, not to your wisdom, not to your toughness, but to the God who speaks through weather, who never left you in the flood, who shows up in every form, cloud, dew, fire, wind. You are called to stand for the ones still in the storm, for the people up at 3 a.m. clinging to shreds of hope, searching for proof that God cares. You get their calls, their messages, because your survival gives them faith. You are the sign in their sky. What once felt like punishment now becomes presence. What looked like exile becomes a platform to gather the lost. You are no longer just seeking shelter, you are building it, inviting others in. Even your enemies see it, and some of them come quietly, asking not for forgiveness but for a taste of what you have. Peace that outlasts the battle, joy that blooms in the aftermath. Your commission comes with strategy, heavenly insight, night visions, sudden ideas, words that land heavy and true. Don't be surprised when your hands tingle with the power to create, to comfort, to break chains nobody else can see. Don't shrink back from opportunities that terrify you because you seem outmatched. Those are the ones set up for maximum glory. The no's you heard for so long make way for a season of yes that multiplies. You are trusted with secrets, with blueprints, with spheres of influence you once only dreamed of. Places that were off limits now open their doors. Voices that silenced you now ask for your input. The commission is real. The weight is holy. Let me speak into your soul. The adversities that nearly broke you are now the anointing that makes you dangerous to despair, to compromise, to fear. You walk into every room not looking for permission to belong, but carrying the authority to transform. You are not just an answer to your own storm, you are a breaker for others. You've been retooled, refitted, refired in the weather, and the world will mark the difference by the way you serve, the speed with which you obey, the audacity with which you love. Shame is over. Failure is fertilizer. Delay was disguised increase. And so, with all the weather still swirling, with all the world watching, I decree over you now. They put walls around you, but God made you a doorway. They set up traps, but you walked out with the spoils. They said you were finished, but God was just beginning. They mocked your prayers, now they ask for your intercession. They disbelieved your dreams. Now they witness your fruit. They predicted drought and decline, but heaven watered your roots unseen. They pronounced judgment over you, but mercy interrupted their sentence. They measured your worth by your losses. God multiplied your value through every reversal. They sent storms to break you, but the wind carried your voice farther. They denied your qualifications, but God stamped your commission. You are His evidence, His sign, His answer spoken in the language of weather and wonder. Heaven's fullness backs you. Vindication surrounds you. Commission compels you. Every forecast overturned, every account settled, every decree established, suddenly, overnight, and right now. Let me show you what happens when vindication soaks so deep it changes even the way you walk into a room. You no longer study faces to gauge approval. You don't scan the atmosphere for permission to dream out loud. You know now what it means to outlive the labels, to outlast the predictions, to thrive where others only planned your exit. You recognize the looks, not just suspicion and jealousy anymore, but a silent awe, a recognition that the weather didn't wipe you out. It marked you for more. Even those who once rolled their eyes now come closer out of curiosity, out of desperation, or just to see how light bends around someone who survived everything meant to break them. People start whispering your story, not the pain, but the rising from it, not the loss, but the restoration that followed it. You become the cautionary tale flipped upside down. Don't count them out, don't write their ending, because something out there answers when they call. Let me walk you into the days where the commission moves from invisible burden to undeniable influence. God begins to place you in rooms you never campaigned for, at tables you didn't fight to gain entry to, on phone calls that seem orchestrated by something bigger than chance. Instead of striving, you're summoned. Opportunities track you down, people reach out without knowing why, doors open before you even knock. This isn't luck, and it isn't hustle. It's harvest. It's the fruit of nights sown in faith, of tears you never wasted, of prayers that gathered in clouds until the sky could hold no more and favor rained down. Your influence multiplies quietly at first. A word here, a breakthrough there. But the more you move in alignment, the more the ripple spreads. The ones who counted you out now watch as new doors they tried to close, open at your approach. Your name is spoken in rooms you've never entered. Your faith blazes a trail through circles once barred. You don't carry wound memory as proof any longer. Now you walk clothed in legacy and the tangible sense that what broke others strengthened you. You've become a map. Your survival, your answers, your reversals become landmarks for those still circling in confusion. You sense it as people gravitate toward you, not for your talent or stature, but because peace radiates out of storms survived, wisdom seeps from honestly counted scars. You pour out what you've received without holding back, no longer afraid of scarcity. You know by experience, He'll pour more, there always is more for the next soul, the next lost one, the next frightened heart awake at 3 a.m. Let me tell you, every night you survived is now a seed growing into shade for 1,000 others. People you never met will rest under what you've built with your ache. There comes a moment when the very places where you were dismissed become places of honor. The same gatekeepers who refused your entry step aside, sometimes in silence, sometimes with trembling hands as you pass. There is a justice that satisfies, not a vengeance, not bitterness, just the deep, clean water of seeing what was denied be restored in ways better than you imagined. You stand in rooms with the ones who wounded you, and fear no longer keeps you silent. You speak, and authority sits in every sentence. When you pray, the atmosphere shifts, not because your voice is louder, but because your faith is heavier, tested, matured. You've worn chains and now bear keys. Every shackle you broke is another lock you unlock for others now. This commission draws the overlooked, the discarded, the almost broken. They do not know how to find God in the storm, but they find you. They ask questions in shaky voices, and you answer with stories that don't glorify pain but glorify the God who met you there. You tell them He is not waiting for your perfection. He knows your midnight panic. He remembers every time you tried to fix it in your own strength and failed. You meet their hopelessness not with promises of ease, but with the truth that storms don't last forever, that somewhere in every flood, every drought, every dark night, there is an ark, a brook, a pillar, a wind gathering for them too. You won't let them quit because you've seen what happens to the one who stays, endures, worships anyway. You move now with a strange velocity. Delays disappear, years of setback shrivel under the heat of new momentum. What wouldn't budge for seasons now moves with hardly a touch. Things come together, resources gather, old debts are canceled. New relationships come clothed in trust, wrapped in destiny. You see it, a supernatural pattern, every reversal building a case for your impact, every vindication showing up as authority, every commission multiplying by the hour. You don't fear the next season anymore. The weather is not your enemy, it's your language. You know the signs. You aren't shaken by shifting winds. They're signs a new thing is breaking out again. So let this now settle deeper than it's ever been. You were not just delivered, you were commissioned. You were not just saved from floods and fire. You were prepared to be a living sign, a landmark of God's promise, a testimony that speaks when words run out. The ones who hurt you will see your healing. The ones who doubted will watch you lead. The ones who waited for your ruin will witness your rising day after day. You are the aftermath miracle, the living weather report, the walking evidence that mercy overrules judgment and grace outruns every scheme. I declare over you with the full force of heaven's approval. They pushed you out. God pulled you higher. They bet against you. God increased your stature. They whispered death. God wrote resurrection. They took from you. God multiplied it back. They said never again, but God decreed now and forever. They tried to lock you out, but you became the gate. They forecasted endless rain, but your rainbow is public. They declared your deadline expired, but you are stepping into timeline abundance. Every reversal redeemed, every pain turned to fuel, every silence broken with a fresh decree from your lips. Rise up, commissioned, crowned, carried in the wind of favor. The world must now reckon with your story. Vindication visible, assignment undeniable. Suddenly, overnight, right now.